Good afternoon, SJC News checking in and keeping you up to date on everything that is going on in these crazy times. I am Ben Shea, current student and spokesman here at SJC News team, and I am accompanied by my partner.
Hello everybody, this is Aiden here, and I understand that with everything going on campus, with all the changes, our attention may not be focused on what is currently going on in the news and society, but I believe it is important to talk about one of the larger stories that is going on in our news world. Is a current scandal going on, and Ben is going to talk about that, so let's pass it on off to him.
Well, thanks again, Aiden. In today's society, sports can have such a large impact and oftentimes lead athletes to kind of overstep their boundaries and, kind of break some norms, you may say, of what is right and wrong. And take, for example, you have Barry Bonds in the past using performance enhancement drugs. You can see from the Redskins coach, NFL, he was found urinating in a cup to pass a player's drug test. And that's coming from a coach's standpoint, not even an athlete. You have players in high school moving to different, zip codes or areas and lying where they're living in order to just play for that said team. This is all going to be examples of deviance in sport, and that is something that is very apparent in our society. That's something that we need to focus on, and something that here at SJC News we will be covering today. It has recently been brought to my attention that a event has taken place in the past week of September where a household name in the realm of sports has overstepped his boundary. He has taken it too far if what is being claimed is true. That said person would be Conor McGregor in this instance, a major legend within MMA, UFC. He has been detained for sexual charges and allegations while on a romantic getaway with his longtime companion, Dee Devlin, and alongside them were their two kids. Now, for those of you that know Conor and have been following his career, we know he's somewhat of a loose cannon. He's a hothead, very outright with what he says and does not hold much back. But this tends to always be against his opposition and or people that are, showing negative kind of like things surrounding him, hate mail, whatever it may be. He is very open to speaking out. He is not afraid. So this particular incident is quite alarming, as it has taken place with his significant other and that person that has been there with him since the beginning of his career in 2008. This occurred following a complaint on September 10th, denouncing the acts that had been described as sexual assault and or sexual exhibition by said Mr. McGregor. McGregor was subject to the hearing. However, McGregor, otherwise known as Notorious, has denied all charges. He's sitting there claiming he has not been part of this. This did not take place. And his manager has come out and said that he is irate in putting out a warning loud and clear. Conor McGregor is not, will not, and cannot be targeted for those to score just a simple headline or payday, was a quote with lack of better words from his said manager. Now, if this claim is in fact true, then McGregor will be a prime example of a formal violation pertaining to deviance in sport. A formal violation is something that's going against direct rules or laws. Clearly, this would be a huge breaking of a law. Unclear on exactly when he was brought into custody and let out. It didn't take long for McGregor to surface once again. He appeared later afternoon, Friday, on Twitter, tweeting out pictures of the elitist meals he was dining on his yacht, workouts, shirtless photos of him doing sprints and such, even posting a tweet complaining about how the anti-doping agency had visited him saying, "I retired in June, test me if you'd like." But really, you see that he's not afraid in this standpoint. He's still voicing out. He's not thinking of repercussions of things that could seem offensive following this act. Now, with little information and no further conclusions being made, we are up in the air, and it is a waiting game with this Conor McGregor situation. However, it has made it very apparent that deviance in sport can occur on and off the field, and I would like to now pass it on over to Aiden, and he will further exemplify how athletes can participate in deviance in other ways, not only on the field in ways of cheating or other forms, but also off the field. Thank you, Aiden.
Now the next story we're going to move to is going to be moving to the NFL, where we're going to talk about an arrest of two NFL players, which would be Quinton Dunbar and DeAndre Baker of the New York Giants and Seattle Seahawks, who recently were arrested over armed robbery charges in Miramar, Florida. As the story goes, these two athletes, both NFL players, signed two teams, went to a cookout and robbed people at gunpoint, and where one of them instructed the other player to shoot one of the attendees of the cookout, but they refused, and then got away in quote-unquote flashy cars. Now, Roger Goodell has not released a statement yet, but both players were released on bail since being arrested, and that really brings to question, what were these athletes thinking? As mentioned in class before, when we were talking about deviance in sports, many athletes believe that they are better than the law. This is a clear issue in this case, as we've seen with cases similar, as far as Aaron Hernandez, Ray Rice, and other athletes that have been caught up in legal trouble, even though they're signed to teams and seem to live these lavish lifestyles. Many of these athletes believe that they're better than the law, and which ends up biting them because they end up committing a crime and ruining their careers. It is unknown yet what holds for DeAndre Baker and Quinton Dunbar, but at the moment, all we know is that they were released, and Roger Goodell is yet to release a statement on it.
Would I have a negative reaction to a high-level athlete that broke a law or a rule? I would, but it would really depend. It would depend on the nature of the rule they broke or the law they broke and what their own reaction was to after the fact. So if it was minor, like a speeding ticket, or they got in a car accident and hurt someone, but it was all completely accidental, and they showed real remorse, then I would continue to support them because everyone's human. But if it was egregious, like an assault or robbery or, real physical harm or death to another person, and there wasn't a lot of, that would be difficult for me to continue to support that person, because it would show for me, a lack of moral character and criminal activity that would be difficult to overlook. I think, would I continue to step away and support that person? Again, it depends the nature of the law they broke or the rule that they broke. If it were more minor, and again, if they had humility about it, everyone's human, so I think I could continue to support them. But if it was really egregious and that they had a lot of bravado about it and didn't own this and excused it away, then I think I would stop supporting that person. And do I believe athletes are above other members of society? I think some do feel that they're in a separate class, that they're above the rest. I think that in many ways is a systemic issue, a societal issue, the way that we put athletes on pedestals and pay them a ton of money and give them lots of privilege, that it allows them to feel that they are greater, better than the rest. And I think even in terms of how they're, if as a professional athlete, how they're treated by their coaches, as a superstar and the fans, that their self-concept, yes, can be that they are better than the rest.
Overall, it's going to be very interesting to see how Roger Goodell and the NFL handles this situation, as there hasn't been something this major as an armed robbery happen in the NFL for a couple seasons now. But overall, it's going to be interesting to see how this develops, and I hope everybody has a great day, and this is Aiden signing off.
Thanks again, Aiden. In conclusion, these two stories really were pertaining to deviance in sport, both happening off the playing fields or within the ring. We talked about a lot of material in class that connected to this deviance, and it was very important to further that understanding and to really bring light on two horrible acts of deviance that occurred recently. Going forward, we will keep you updated with anything that comes out about the Connor and or the two NFL players. But until then, this is SJC News signing off, and have a wonderful rest of your day.